Hi, I'm Don Buell. Appreciate this opportunity to share with you some things that I've learned. First of all, I don't have the gift of evangelism. What I do have and what I've prayed for is a heart that God would give me that He has for my neighbors, my friends, people I know. A heart that's resulted in a desire to see that they know and know the gospel and know how that they can have eternal life. We are instructed to be sowers, uh, to sow the good word, to sow the seed. So, what I'd like to do is share with you for a few minutes some of the tools that I've been using, quite successful, to be able to communicate to people, to give them some answer, to give them some places to go to where they can get the answers that they're looking for. Now, one of the tools that I use the most is this little card here. It has 4 websites on it. One of them is called 180. The other one's Evidence of God. On the other side is Noah and Genius. So I'm just going to give you some situations where I have been able to use this. Now, first of all, the requirement for using this is know your product, like you do in any sales situation. So that requires that you look at these DVDs. They're 28 to 32 minutes. They're on the website, and study them and ask God to show you ways that you can help answer people's questions. Situations. For example, when someone brings up, just as I heard today, boy, you look at the news, it's all bad news, bad things going on. And I say, I agree with you. It's quite concerning, discouraging what is happening in the world today. Did you know that there was a time when man became so immoral, so bad in their conduct that they had to be totally destroyed, and God had to start the whole world situation over again? Do you know the story of Noah? Why don't you take this little card with this Noah and take a look at it, because it describes what the situation is, but most of all, it gives you what God's solution, why the problems are happening, and what's God's solution, what's the personal solution for you. Another situation I use Noah is because it's a time for where God rescued animals. So like when I was at the San Diego Zoo, the person that took us on our tour, after we got through, I said, it was good that you covered so much about what man has been doing to harm animals. It was also good to hear you say how much good man has done to save animals, like the zoo that we have here. Did you know that there was a time when God destroyed all the earth because of what man was doing? Destroyed all but a few living beings and saved the animals? No. The guy said, no, I didn't know that. And I said, yes, it's in the days of Noah. Here, take this card, look over it, and see what you think. You might find it quite interesting to see what God does to take care of people. I use the same principle with just animal lovers, people who demonstrate a great care and concern. Same similar type of introduction to them. Now let me address the other little website, Evolution versus God. Now on this website, you can use this on a regular basis, is that, this gentleman went on the college campuses and he went around and he asked everyone that he could find in the science departments, I want to understand evolution, but there's one question I have and I can't seem to get the answer right on it. Can you help me? And he asked him the one question. What was the question he asked? I'm going to leave that up to you to find out. You're going to have to go on Evidence versus God to find out. But I use this when I'm with somebody and they make a comment about nature. And I'll make the comment many times about, isn't evolution amazing? Take, for example, we're sitting there looking at a hummingbird feeder on a plant. Said, isn't it amazing how those wings fly so fast for so long and they stay in one position and they fall down. Have you ever wondered in the principles of evolution how many times that hummingbird had to fall to the ground before he learned to stay upright and fly? Well, it's very, very simple, but it gets them thinking. And then I say to them, you know, this is a good opportunity to you to look at this website here, Evolution versus God, to see how those hummingbirds came into existence. The other situations I use the evolution versus God most often is with medical personnel. Because of various physical afflictions I have, I've spent quite a bit of time laying on my back with medical technicians shooting me, massaging me, x-raying me, solar, you know what I mean. I always bring to the point, I say, you know, you've done, especially the younger ones, say you've had a lot of education, you've had a lot of information that you've been gathering about the human body. Don't you find it fascinating how the body works, how everything flows together, works together? Have you personally come to a point to make a decision? Do you feel like that you are a result of a slimy worm crawling out of the swamp, or that you were created by a master creative designer? And I let them answer me. And those answers have varied. One, and the most common response is, no, I never really thought about it. Isn't that amazing? But others, people have said, yeah, I've been wondering about that. Well, I said, well, here's this card. Take this. It's Evolution versus God. It really does cover the fact that we are masterfully made, that there is a creator, and gives you the factual information and how you can experience that personally. The other one is on the value of life. When the situation is brought up and people in a group are discussing about abortion or death penalties or even the Islamic slaughters that's taking place, I bring up the fact, I say, have you seen that video where that they interview the people on the street and ask them how much they know about Hitler? It's amazing to see the answers. Then they ask them what do they know about his personal teachings, what the Nazi teachings were. It's amazing what the average person out there, especially the young people, don't know. Then he takes them and shows them the black and white videos of the people in Auschwitz who were brought in the tour, the concentration camps, unaware of what was going on there. And then when they come out and what their reaction is, it's devastating. If you talk to anybody that knows anything about Auschwitz, about the concentration camps, about what evil man has done to other human beings, it is just unnerving. Then he very skillfully brings it into what about abortion? And asks them some really probing questions to consider how they feel about the value of life and the Creator. And then he brings in again the personal gospel. Now that's just a few of the ways that I use these tools, but it's pretty amazing how God can use that. How when you begin to ask God, give me this situation, and the first requirement is ask for God's heart. The second one is to listen. Listen to people. Have your tools available. Think about what the questions they're asking, because all you're trying to do is to give them the answer. For Christ said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and you want to provide that truth and answer to them. Thank you. Hi, I'm Don Buell, and I'd like this opportunity to share with you some ways that you can share the love of Christ and the gospel, how you can help people understand how that they can have eternal life. One of the principles that I used was taken from the book Sharing Jesus Without Fears. I've been using this principles for quite a while, and lately we went back through the course. He follows some principles to ask people questions. I use these questions most often in a situation with people going to church. You know, Jesus spent a lot of time talking to religious people, people who thought that they had the answer. So one of the first questions you can ask a person, let me ask you, if you were to die today and face God on judgment, and he said, why should I let you into heaven? What would be your answer? And you wait to hear the answer. Most of the time, the answer among even church-going people is, well, I hope I've been good enough. And that is one of the biggest problems we have, is people still believe that they have to be good enough to get to heaven. So I have some tools that I use to help out. And the first thing I say to them is, a great discovery I made years ago was that I was not good enough to get to heaven, and I never would be good enough. So, when we get to heaven, there's going to be a test. Let me ask you, when you were in high school, college, did your teacher give you the test, the questions that's going to be asked before you get the test, the days before, so that you'd be all prepared and you'd be able to get them all right? Well, no, that didn't happen to a whole lot of us. But God's very, very gracious. He's given us the test ahead of time. And that test is going to be the Ten Commandments. So when I say to people that I have not been good enough, I simply say to them that there's going to be a test. And if you'd like to find out how good and if you're going to heaven, here is a simple little brochure. It's called Are You Good Enough to Go to Heaven? And there is a test inside that God's going to be given, the Ten Commandments. You let people read through that and find out on their own. One that I've recently begun to use also is Are You a Good Person? And I simply introduce this by saying, this is an animated brochure, a pamphlet, and it's about Mr. Good Guy. Mr. Good Guy who really thought he was going to heaven. And when he got there, he was asked some questions to see if he was good enough. I thought maybe you might want to read this and look over it to see, because it's probably the most important question that you could ever have. Are you good enough to get to heaven? Thank you.